What happens when a father and his son both make their Broadway debut at the exact same time, in two different shows, on the very same street? And what happens when the dad admits his son pulled it off 3 months out of college, while it took him 30 years to get there? Well, if your last name is Consuelos, you talk a little smack about it. Stick with us, because this story about Mark Consuelos, his son Joaquin, and the greatest Broadway season the Consuelos family has ever had is genuinely one of the most heartwarming and hilarious celebrity family moments of 2026. And it all came to a head on Tony Awards night. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, we cover the stories behind Hollywood's most beloved stars, the moments that don't always make the front page, but absolutely deserve to. Today, we're talking about the Consuelos family. And if you follow daytime television at all, you already know that name. Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa are the powerhouse couple behind Live with Kelly and Mark, one of the most watched morning talk shows on American television. They're Emmy winners, they're fan favorites, and after nearly 30 years of marriage, they still somehow manage to make the rest of us feel like we're watching two best friends host a show together every single morning. But this spring, the story got a whole lot bigger, and it moved from the morning show studio straight to Broadway. To really appreciate what happened this spring, you have to understand who Mark Consuelos is beyond the talk show desk. Mark Consuelos makes his Broadway debut as Maurice Duclos in Fallen Angels at the Todd Haynes Theater, running from March 27th through June 7th, 2026. He is best known as the co-host with his wife Kelly Ripa of Live with Kelly and Mark, the pair having won the 2024 Emmy Award for Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show Host. But before the morning show, before the fame, before the Emmys, Mark was an actor at heart. He had been doing off-Broadway work for years. He had been building towards something bigger, quietly, patiently, the way real actors do. And then there's Joaquin. Mark and Kelly Ripa's son Joaquin Consuelos, 23, studied theater at the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance, and he graduated last May. Fresh out of college, bright-eyed, talented, and ready to take on the world. So when the news broke that both of them, father and son, were going to be on Broadway at the same time in separate shows, well, the entertainment world collectively stopped and said, "Wait, what?" Here's how it unfolded. Mark Consuelos joined Golden Globe winner Rose Byrne and Tony Award winner Kelly O'Hara in the Roundabout Theater Company's restaging of Noel Coward's Fallen Angels. Meanwhile, Joaquin landed the role of young Biff Loman in Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Two legendary plays, two generations of the same family, one Broadway season. Kelly Ripa joked about the situation, saying she was going to be seeing Hella Theater this spring. And honestly, who could blame her? She had to decide every single night which Consuelos man she was going to go support. Her husband or her son. The pressure, Kelly. The pressure. But here's where it gets really good. Mark himself addressed the situation directly, saying, "It took me 30 years to get on Broadway, and it took him 3 months out of college." It's kind of annoying. There it is. The smack talk, delivered with that trademark Consuelos dry wit. Because only a truly proud father can make a compliment sound like a friendly trash talk, and only a son like Joaquin could earn it in the best possible way. And that wasn't the end of the story. What makes this story truly special is what happened behind the scenes, because the competitive banter was wrapped in something much more genuine. Mark said having the chance to be on Broadway at the same time as his son was totally unexpected. It took a couple weeks for us to actually realize we were going to be on stage at the same time, and that it was interesting and odd and cool, Mark told the New York Times. Joaquin started rehearsals before me, so I leaned on him a little bit. Read that again. A veteran television star, a man who has been in the entertainment industry for decades, leaning on his 23-year-old son for guidance. That's not just a sweet moment. That's a full circle Hollywood story. The student became the teacher, even if just for a season. And for Joaquin, in his first acting role since graduating college in 2025, he plays young Biff Loman in Death of a Salesman. For a young actor stepping into one of the most iconic plays in American theater history, that's no small task. And yet there he was, right beside his dad, on the biggest stage of both their lives. Now, of course, we can't tell this story without talking about Kelly Ripa's reaction to all of this, because Kelly's take on anything in the Consuelos household is always worth the price of admission. When she finally went to see Mark perform in Fallen Angels on April 7th, she came into the studio the next morning with a lot to say. Ripa praised her husband's performance, calling him unbelievably funny, and said the production had laughter from the moment it starts. She told Consuelos on air, "I forget how unbelievably funny you are. You are amazing. You knock my socks off." And in classic Kelly Ripa fashion, she didn't stop there. She added, and this is a direct quote, that if he hadn't had 2 shows that day, he might have gotten lucky. On live television, in front of their audience, as only Kelly Ripa can, fans immediately started reacting. The clip went viral because this couple, after nearly 30 years together, 3 kids, 2 Emmy Awards, and now a Broadway season, still has the kind of energy that lights up every room they walk into. The praise for Mark didn't just come from Kelly, either. Kelly O'Hara, who is nominated for a 2026 Tony Award for Best Performance by an actress in a leading role, spoke about Mark at the Tony Awards Meet the Nominees press event. She said, "I loved working with Mark. He is the sweetest, the most hardworking, and actually the funniest guy, really, just always so dry and witty." High praise from one of Broadway's most respected talents. Mark himself reflected on the experience, noting one unexpected similarity between his morning show world and the theater world. "The only thing that is kind of reminiscent is that I'm surrounded by really brilliant women in all parts of my day. In the morning, there's no one better than Kelly Ripa. She's a genius. And then I get to come here and I'm surrounded by this cast." That's the thing about Mark Consuelos. He carries the same warmth and humility from the talk show desk to the Broadway stage. And audiences noticed. Now, the timing of all of this is nothing short of poetic. The 79th Annual Tony Awards are set for June 7th, 2026 at Radio City Music Hall in New York City, broadcast on CBS and Paramount+. And as fate would have it, Fallen Angels closes on June 7th, coincidentally the same night as the 2026 Tony Awards. Mark's Broadway run ends on the exact same night Broadway crowns its champions for the season. There's a kind of storybook quality to that, isn't there? His debut and Broadway's biggest night, sharing one final curtain call together. While neither Mark nor Joaquin are nominated at this year's Tonys, the conversation around the Consuelos family's Broadway season has been impossible to ignore. From morning TV circles to theater communities, people have been talking about what this family pulled off together and what it might mean for the next chapter of their careers. As a reminder, these are 2 people who together earned the 2024 Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Daytime Talk Series Hosts and the 2025 Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Daytime Talk Series. They're not just a celebrity couple. They're an entertainment institution. And they just added Broadway to their resume twice over in the same season. But beyond the glam and the awards and the viral clips, there's a genuinely moving story at the center of all of this. Think about what Mark Consuelos actually said. 30 years. He spent 30 years working toward Broadway, doing off-Broadway work, honing his craft, building his career on television, raising a family, being a husband, being a father. And then one spring, the stars aligned, and not only did he finally make it to Broadway, but he got to do it with his son beside him. That's the kind of thing you can't script. That's the kind of thing that reminds you why families in Hollywood, when they stay grounded and close, produce moments that feel genuinely magical. And Joaquin, watching his dad lean on him, learning from a kid who had just walked out of college with his theater degree, still fresh. That's something he'll carry with him for the rest of his career. No matter how many Broadway stages he walks onto in the future, this one will always be first. And Dad was right there. The cultural ripple of the Consuelos Broadway season goes beyond just one family story. For fans of Live with Kelly and Mark, It opened a whole new window into who Mark Consuelos really is. Not just the charming co-host, not just the devoted husband, but a serious, dedicated actor who never gave up on a dream. It humanized him in a way that even decades of morning television hadn't fully done. And for pop culture at large, it reinforced something beautiful. That Hollywood families, when they support each other, when they show up, cheer each other on, and yes, talk a little friendly smack along the way, can produce stories worth telling. Tony Awards night may come and go. The curtain on Fallen Angels may fall for the final time. But the story of a father and son sharing the Great White Way in the same season, that's the kind of entertainment update that sticks. So the next time you tune in to Live with Kelly and Mark on a Tuesday morning and you see Mark Consuelos behind that desk, a little more relaxed, a little more accomplished, with a gleam in his eye that looks like a man who just conquered Broadway, you'll know exactly where it came from. 30 years of patience, 3 months of his son showing him the ropes, one unforgettable spring in New York City, and a lot of smack talk along the way. So here's what we want to know from you today. Drop it in the comments right now. Are you Team Mark or Team Joaquin? Would you rather have seen Fallen Angels or Death of a Salesman this spring? And do you think the Consuelos family has a future dynasty on Broadway? Let us know. We read every single comment. If you enjoyed this celebrity update, subscribe for more entertainment news and Hollywood stories. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story, because in Hollywood, the best moments happen when you're not looking. We'll see you in the next one.